Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are breaking down a recent Fox News broadcast that details an incredibly complex, fast-moving standoff unfolding right now in the Middle East. We're talking trapped ships, massive military assets, and some seriously high-stakes nuclear diplomacy. So let's jump right in and map out exactly what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz.
Right off the bat, let's look at the immediate catalyst highlighted by the panel, which is a massive flurry of conflicting military claims on the water. I mean, there's just utter confusion out there. When you have major military commands having to publicly deny reports that their own ships were hit, you know for a fact you're looking at a deeply volatile environment.
To make sense of this incredibly fluid situation, we've structured our explainer into 4 key themes based on the broadcast. Number 1, conflicting claims at sea. 2, unpacking Operation Epic Fury. 3, comparing military capabilities. And 4, the global oil and nuclear stakes.
Let's move to our first section, conflicting claims at sea, navigating the narratives.
According to the broadcast, it's basically a massive war of words and a whole lot of the blame game out there right now. On one side, you've got a second UK ship actively claiming they were attacked in the waterway. But on the flip side, U.S. Central Command is forcefully denying reports that an American warship was struck. Trying to navigate these contrasting narratives is really the first step in understanding the current chaos.
And this brings us to a really critical question the panel highlighted regarding the civilian toll here. It's not just heavily armed warships out there. The picture is actually pretty dire for civilian cargo crews who have been stuck in this geopolitical bottleneck for months. They're reportedly running dangerously low on basic necessities, including food.
So how is the administration responding? That brings us to Section 2, unpacking Operation Epic Fury, also dubbed Project Freedom.
The panel explains that this operation is being officially categorized by the administration as a humanitarian mission. It's specifically designed to help those stranded cargo crews we just talked about. The U.S. is signaling that it will act as a shield, effectively guiding these unarmed, trapped ships safely out of the restricted waterways so those crews can finally go home.
The broadcast illustrates the tactical game plan in 3 specific steps. First up, completely unclog the Strait of Hormuz. Second, provide direct military protection for the unarmed tankers. And third, safely route dozens of these ships across the Oman side of the strait. The U.S. is firmly asserting that these are international waters, meaning absolutely no tolls and totally free navigation.
However, the broadcast reports that Iran sees this very, very differently. Claiming to have the upper hand in the region, they've warned that these U.S. ship movements are not a humanitarian effort, but interference that could actually invite retaliatory fire. By explicitly calling American actions a violation of the ceasefire, they're setting the stage for a direct, high-stakes confrontation.
Now let's jump into Section 3, comparing military capabilities, the assets at play.
What's really fascinating here is how the panel breaks down the specific military hardware each side is bringing to the table. It's a classic asymmetrical matchup. You've got the U.S. deploying heavy, advanced assets like guided missile destroyers, a massive fleet of 100 aircraft, A-10 Warthogs, and drones. And juxtaposed against that, Iranian forces are relying heavily on a Mosquito Navy. Hundreds of small unmanned craft equipped with machine guns, backed up by underwater drones and a network of missiles.
Despite the sheer volume of those small craft, the broadcast notes that U.S. officials feel highly confident they can neutralize this specific threat. In fact, if these ships attempt an attack, the U.S. plans to use its Warthogs and drones to hit them, drawing a direct parallel to how they successfully dismantled ships during past operations in Venezuela.
All right, moving to our final section, global oil and nuclear stakes, taking a look at the bigger picture.
So here is a massive statistic the panel emphasizes, and you really need to keep this in mind. 25%. That is the percentage of the world's sea-based oil trade that passes through this one single narrow waterway. This incredibly high volume deeply ties a localized military conflict directly to global oil prices. Any disruption here sends shockwaves everywhere.
But it's not all happening on the water. Alongside the military posturing, the broadcast notes that highly fluid diplomatic talks are occurring behind the scenes. And a key factor driving these negotiations, U.S. intelligence assesses that Iran is struggling significantly from an economic standpoint. That economic pressure is acting as a major lever at the negotiating table. During these talks, a core concept being raised is downblending uranium. Essentially, this is a mechanism to dilute nuclear material so it cannot be used for weapons, which would limit Iran's nuclear capabilities. Crucially, proposals suggest this downblending has to occur outside of the country, with Russia reportedly offering to take the uranium for processing. The panel also outlines the specific sweeping terms reportedly offered in these negotiations. The proposed duration of the deal is 15 years. During that decade-and-a-half period, the enrichment level has to remain at absolute zero. And on top of that, any existing highly enriched uranium must be completely removed from the country to entirely halt weapon development.
The commentators summarize these immense stakes by suggesting it ultimately boils down to two distinct paths. If Iran decides to take the risk and attack, it's game on. However, if the U.S. successfully executes Operation Epic Fury and reopens the strait, the ultimate geopolitical winner is clear. America holds all the cards and Iran holds zero.
As the administration remains determined to see this humanitarian and military mission through, we leave you to ponder this. With 25% of the world's oil, the safety of countless civilian sailors, and the delicate balance of global nuclear diplomacy all converging in one narrow body of water, how will these tensions ultimately reshape global security? Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.